Hello friends, I'm Ram Lakshmanan. I'm the architect of Ycrash. So in today's talk, we are going to talk about how can you go about detecting whether you are under-allocated your application's memory than what it's needed. See, when you under-allocate your application's memory, then what is actually needed? That is, say, if actual need is 2 GB, whereas you're allocating only 1 GB, then that's called as an under allocation. When you under allocate, what will happen is your application's response time is going to degrade and the CPU consumption is going to start to spike up and you will end up with out of memory error. See, oftentimes, most of us, when the application results with out of memory error, that's when we go about and look into the memory settings to see whether it is intact or not. But it's like too late in the game. Like it's once your patient has gone to a very critical state, at that point you're going for a treatment. See, rather we have to do it in a proactive manner. Way before you get those out of memory error, you can check, you can detect whether your application's memory is under allocated or not. So in this talk, I'm going to be showing some tips and tricks which you can use to detect whether your application's memory is under allocated or not. Okay. And feel free to bring up any questions at any point in time. Okay, so the best way to detect whether your application's memory is under allocated or not is by studying the garbage collection behavior. That is, the garbage collection behavior tells you whether how well your memory is utilized, right? So how we can go about studying the garbage collection behavior? To do that, first you need to enable the garbage collection logging in your application. So we will give you in the description section the link. The link shows you what are all the JVM arguments you need to pass to your application to enable the garbage collection log. Right? When you pass those arguments, then the garbage collection log will be generated. Once the garbage collection log is generated, you can use several freely available tools like a GCEC, IBM GC log analyzer, the HP JMeter, the GC viewer, and these kind of tools are available. You can use these tools, and to these tools you can upload your garbage collection log file, and then they will report you what kind of garbage collection behavior or application is experiencing. Say quickly, this is one of the free tool, the GCEC.io. Right. So once you have captured the garbage collection log by enabling it on your application, see, make sure you enable the garbage collection log in your application. Make sure you do it on a production environment, right? Because the enabling it on a production environment, the garbage collection log enablement will not add any overhead. We have measured enough benchmarks to confirm that. So, and also let the traffic, your production JVM take the traffic at least for a 24-hour period, so that you would see one high traffic volume and as well as a low traffic volume is there. So take that at least 1 day worth of GC log file and then analyze it with the tools like GCEC, IBM GC viewer, or HP JMeter kind of tool. So here for our demonstration, I'm using the GCEC. So this is the tool. Here we can come in and then see here, let me upload a sample GC log file. So here is a sample GC log file. I'm uploading it. Once you upload it, the garbage collection log file is parsed, and then this report gives you such very insightful metrics, like what is your throughput latency, what is your garbage collection pattern, right? See, let's discuss about this is an EAP usage pattern, right? So let's look at some of the sample patterns that will give you some insights to see whether your application memory is under allocated or over allocated. What is the usage? So here for our discussion, I've gotten this EAP usage graph, right? See, you can see, when the requests are coming in, the objects are getting created, the objects are keep on building. And now a full garbage collection event runs. See, garbage collection event, when it runs, it's going to clean up the unreferenced objects in the memory. So it cleaned up. So once it cleaned up, you can see the EAP usage dropping all the way to the bottom. And now the requests are starting to come up. The objects are getting created in the memory. And now once again, when the full garbage collection event runs, the memory drops all the way to the bottom. So you see this kind of a beautiful sawtooth pattern. Whenever it goes to the ceiling limit, the full garbage collection event runs, and then the heap usage drops all the way to the bottom. Look at this. So this is I call this as a beautiful sawtooth pattern. When you see this kind of a sawtooth pattern, you can confirm, yes, your application is in a healthy state, right? So it means it is not under allocated. But I'm going to show you this heap usage pattern, how it's going to look on a JVM where the memory is under allocated, right? See, when it's under allocated, this is the kind of the pattern you will start to see. See, you see, it is running, the traffic is coming, but now you can see here a cluster of full GC events are running, right? Whenever a full GC event runs, it consumes enormous amount of garbage, enormous amount of CPU, because today modern application tends to create tons of objects. So a garbage collector has to mark all those tons of objects to see whether they are active and whether they are inactive. And then it has to reclaim the inactive objects from the memory. So to do that, it consumes enormous amount of CPU. Besides that, when a full garbage collection event runs, it also pauses your application, right? Because it has to pause the application so that it can mark what is active and what is inactive objects. So if you see here, a cluster of full GC events are running. You can see there's multiple GC events are running. But even though if multiple GC events are running, you don't see the heap usage to be dropping back down, right? Heap usage just keeps on climbing. Look at this. The heap usage just keeps on climbing, going up and up and up, despite full garbage collection event is running. So this is an indication that your application needs more memory, right? See, what was happening was at this time, the traffic was coming, there was an increase in the traffic volume to this application. Because there was an increase in the traffic volume, the application was creating more and more objects. So since application was creating more and more objects, now the garbage collector has to run more frequently to reclaim those unused objects. So because it is running very frequently, you see this repeated garbage collection event running again and again and again. But if you see, friends, after this point, see here, it has been running again, and again. But after this point, at this point, you can see the heap usage dropped. See, it dropped all the way from here to here. But look at this. Earlier, it was just kept on climbing. But now after this point, it dropped. It dropped because the traffic died down at that point. The peak traffic volume, it died down. Because it died down, the heap usage recovered. And then the garbage collection, what it was running in the background, also stopped. So when you see this kind of a pattern, this means it is telling us that this application needs more memory allocated. It needs more memory to be allocated, right? Right. So, any questions on this? Okay. So, no. Okay. So then I'll move on. There's another pattern, right? Look at this is the another type of garbage collection behavior you will also see. Here you can see that kind of the sawtooth pattern is happening. It's going up, going down, going up, going down. But at this point, you can see the cluster of full garbage collection events are starting to run. You see, it's running, the garbage collection events are running again and again and again and again. And it just kept on going. At this point, the JVM had to be recycled because when this red triangle and the full garbage collection runs, it means there is going to be high CPU consumption. And then the application is going to be pausing. That means it was not doing any useful work for the customer. It just went on to this consecutive full GC execution mode. It wasn't doing any active work for the customer. So you can see it has to be recycled to get back to normal state. There is one difference in between this pattern and then the earlier pattern, right? If you see, friends, in the earlier pattern, after this point, see here also there was a cluster of GCs were running, but after this point, the application was able to recover. It is able to recover, and then it's going to come back to the normalcy, right? It's able to come back to normal position. It's going to keep on going. Whereas in this pattern, what we are seeing, you don't see it is not dropping anytime. It is not dropping. The heap usage is not dropping to normalcy. It just spiked up and it's remaining at this level. So when you see this kind of a pattern in your garbage collection, that means there could be two possibilities. Possibility number one is either there was a spike in the traffic volume, right? There was an increase in the traffic volume. Unlike in the earlier graph, the traffic volume died down after a half an hour or a 1 hour window. So application also recovered. Whereas in this case, maybe the traffic volume did never die down. It was just keep on coming. So application couldn't keep up with it. That's why we are seeing this behavioral pattern. That could be one possibility. And then the second possibility could be when you see this kind of thing occurring again and again, the second possibility could be this application is suffering from a memory leak. That could be a second possibility. When you have a memory leak, then also you will see this pattern running again and again. So how will I know whether is it because of the traffic volume, this full GCs are running, or is it because of memory leak, this full GCs are running? How will I know that? One way to differentiate it is what you can do is you can look at decommissioning your JVM from your load balancer pool. So if you take your JVM from the load balancer pool, if you take it out, then what will happen? If it is a memory leak, this full GC will still keep on going. The heap usage will not drop because it's a memory leak. There is some leak happened already in the application, and all the objects are actively referenced, so it can't be recovered. But on the other hand, if this is triggered because of the traffic, increase in the traffic volume, then if you stop the traffic, you are stopping the traffic because you are taking the JVM out from the load balancer. When you do that, then this will drop. This heap usage will start to drop, and the repeated full GCs will not run. The consecutive full GCs will not run. So that will be a differentiator to know what to. So if you know, is it because based on that, you can determine if it's memory leak, you want to go about using troubleshooting tools like Eclipse Mat or ePiro or Ycrash to see what is causing the memory leak and go ahead and fix it. Or if it is because of the increase in the traffic volume, then you want to look at allocating more memory, right? So we have seen like a few patterns here. The first pattern is if you see this kind of an heap usage, if you see this kind of a pattern when a full garbage collection runs, memory drop all the way to the bottom, then it means it's not a problem. Your application is in a healthy state. It's not under allocated. But if you see this kind of a pattern, or if you see this kind of a pattern in your garbage collection behavior, then it's an indication that your application memory is under allocated. So in the case, you may want to look at increasing your XMX, that is a heap size. Okay. So any questions from anyone?
No.
I
Yes.
have one.
Sure.
Yeah. So in both the case, actually that fifth one and fourth one, in both the case, it's like we have to increase the memory. That's what you are saying.
No. See, in this case, one of the it means it is indicating, this case is indicating that you are under allocated. Your memory is under allocated. So yes, if when you see this pattern, one option to solve this problem is you want to increase your memory, right? When you increase your memory, that is one way to solve. Or other way to solve is, say suppose today you are running on a 3 JVM instances, right? You're running on 3 JVM instances. You can look at commissioning a couple more extra JVM instance. When you commission a couple more extra JVM instance, then also it's like you are allocating more memory. Instead of scaling it vertically, you are scaling it horizontally, right? That is another option to address this. Basically, when you see this pattern, yes, you want to allocate more memory. How you want to do it is either by increasing your XMX, or you can look at adding more JVMs, right? But whereas when you see this kind of a pattern, then there could be two possibilities. One is either maybe, yes, you want to allocate more memory, or second possibility is it could be a memory leak. If it's a memory leak, even if you allocate any amount of memory, still you will experience out of memory error. You're just buying time by allocating more memory.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it making sense, or feel free to ask any questions?
Yes, Ram. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then thank you everyone.